Hello everyone and welcome to the Wolfszeit channel. Today with a very special topic, always special. The suggestion comes from the community from Marchioro. Some of you may know him. He also made about 30 forum posts about certain game mechanics. Some of them are really interesting ideas, which I sadly can't link you anymore because all these threads were deleted. I don't know why. So he quit Mortal, then he's back again and he has an awesome idea about the bleeding damage. So maybe when the whole community discusses about the topic, then maybe Star Wars could also look into that. Then maybe draw their conclusions from that. There's also a voting about this idea. It's also linked down in the description. But please let me explain first. Currently, bleeding is not utilized as it could be, and it has a lot of potential to sustain bleeding damage on a few moves and a few special abilities. So the core concept of bleeding rework. So bleeding should not stack anymore. Instead, each tick should deal a percentage of the target's maximum HP. Let's for example say 5%, which is in my opinion a little bit much, but this is of course this could be changed. For example, if bleeding could also interrupt casts like Corrupt, that would be huge. This gives frontline fighter builds another way to pressure mages, but they are already pressured by the new special moves and the special abilities and stuff, and mages are already complaining about that it's now a lot harder to play a mage because of the special abilities and the special move. I'm not sure about that. So to the next thing, some adjustments. So he also wrote, add a cap for damage ticks, for example 30 per tick. This way people won't abuse it in PvE content like bosses with high HP pool. He also wrote to this way bleeding would have significant damage and added value to terms of combat, as this would be the way of frontline fighters access one of the corrupt applications. Eventually, when Star Wars decides to cast poison or bring the poison system into the game, the damage will most likely be fixed and may be subjected to the scaling of the applied poison and perhaps some debuffs including preventing the healing. With this change, some skills would likely require modifications, such as Gouge for dagger. Since this skill already has a high damage output, it would be more interesting to reverse its status with the skill currently considered useless for dagger use. So namely piercing strike. This way Gouge would have an armor piercing bonus, becoming a skill exclusively for dealing damage. While piercing strike would have bleeding, make it a great option for fighting mages. I also suggest some changes to the skill's adrenaline usage to make them more useful for different purposes. Precise strikes 1 adrenaline, good for dueling. New piercing strike 2 adrenaline, good for diving mages. New Gouge 3 adrenaline, best option for massive damage. So this is the bleeding rework idea itself, and the link to the voting is in the description as always. I see some potential problems, especially in the mage department, where mages getting more debuffed. I mean, if you talk to a lot of mages currently, lightning is often resisted, Thunderlash doesn't work so good anymore, and the special moves are killing you faster than you can blink. And bleeding has also a huge effect on Beastmaster gameplay. But giving bleeding damage more impact could be nice, but I personally also have a suggestion to this idea. Give bandages more uses. If you use a bandage, you can directly stop the bleeding. Or another suggestion that directly comes to my mind is you can also add this to alchemy and making potions. Make something like bleeding stop, or something like that your blood is getting thicker and stuff like that. You could also go as far and say, hey, there's also some food you can eat that can directly stop bleeding. But you could also accelerate the whole bleeding mechanic to everyone and everything. This would also be very interesting when you, I don't know, shoot someone with an arrow and he's now bleeding a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, this is just a suggestion, of course. Maybe you're also having an idea in other stuff, in roleplay mechanics, in PvE mechanics, in dungeons, in whatever, then please contact me. Then maybe we can bring together a little bit more spotlight on some topics. Then more and more people can discuss about that. And if ideas are good or very good thought through an end or very genius, they are often landing at Star Wars table and they are like, oh, this is awesome. And we could also slightly enhance this a little bit and that a little bit, and then we have a very awesome thing. So please, if you have the time, join the discussion in the comments, would be very nice. And if you found this video interesting, like and subscribe. So special thanks to all the supporters, of course: Carmel, Lucario, Mr. Minerva, Them Tired, Ronus, Patronax, Cologne Bulldog, and all the others, of course. And never forget to make your bleeding damage hard. I mean, party hard. Party hard, of course. So see you all next time.